Hi guys, my name is Glen Tsime, the Solutions Architect at Accenture, and I'm very much happy to share with you on getting ahead of your exam, tool guides and material. Just to not waste time, today's takeaways, I'll be going through three key aspects of building your toolkit for your exam prep. I normally call that your Swiss Army knife, and your own library of knowledge. And lastly, I will share some few tips based on experience and taking all the certifications from Microsoft themselves. Feel free to pose questions on our chat, and after the session, we'll take voice-related questions via raising your hands so that we can maintain order in this session. So before I can kickstart, here's a question I pose to every participant joining our Cloud Friday session today. Are you doing it out of passion or forcefully? Now, we've seen a raise of certified candidates when they are presented with work. You can definitely see that they lack competence. And there are candidates out there who've spent tons of hours, a lot of time trying to prepare, trying to equip themselves, going through a lot. And I've liked what I've seen on our first session with Alfredo, whereby we even ventured into the Linux and Terraform. It definitely shows that people are passionate out there. And I can guarantee you that when you're sitting for that exam, some questions are going to challenge your passion. Some questions are going to separate the sheep from the goat. Okay. So this is the question you need to ask yourself when taking certification. Are you doing it out of passion, out of the love of the Microsoft technology stack? Or were you forcefully pushed, maybe by your employer, your boss, feeling pressure from your friends, trying to keep up with the world? And I can guarantee you that when you are in a real life scenario, and you won't make it, definitely. So the first thing, let's cover the tools. I mean, the first thing you need to gather is tools necessary or required for you to get yourself prepared for any Microsoft certification exam. Now, are you familiar with this? Just have a look at those three icons, okay? And if you are not familiar with one of them, then you're in deep danger, because somewhere, you will have to work with these, you will meet these in the exam. You will be asked just randomly, or maybe by a customer, or in a project, or in any form of work that you'll be doing regarding Azure. So, and I do know there's an exam, I think it's the AZ900, where they will require you to even know icons, an icon of a virtual machine, an icon of a database, an icon of a Cosmos DB data lake. So before you can even dive into those, are you familiar with these three? And if yes, lucky you. If no, then you need to work on that. The first thing you need to get access to is the Azure portal. Now, there are a plethora of ways of you getting yourself hands-on in the Azure portal, because I can assure you that Microsoft is moving away out of these multiple choice-based questions into more scenario-based and labs. So if you've never seen an Azure portal in your life, or you've seen it but you don't even know what that smiley face at the top right there means, then you are in deep grave danger. So the ways to get yourself the subscription, just sign up for a free trial. It is you can use some free services up to 12 months, but I know that it does expire after 30 days. So you'll have to use like your credit card to verify yourself. Or if you are a student, then you can use as your student benefit if you are enrolled in any institution that uses 365 or has partnership with Microsoft. So use any other way to get hands-on to the Azure platform. I do know that the Microsoft Learn does have the guided labs where they give you access to the Azure portal. However, it's for a limited time, and at some point you cannot do certain things like mess around with the AD, because they've set it up at an organization level. So it is very much important for you to have your own subscription. Like myself, I do pay for my own subscription to do my stuff. just remember to delete. We learn by mistake. So Alfredo and Nicholas will definitely tell you we've paid huge bills in Microsoft. I'm sure, Nicholas, you've spinned the Cosmos DB and you were surprised by the bill that came back while playing. So it's part of the experience. The learning actually is within the experience. So we do not want to decredit or to degrade the Microsoft certification because of people who just want to cram stuff, go into the exam, be certified, flash on LinkedIn, yay, and then get disappointed when they are assigned job to do. So the first thing you need to get yourself into, it is the Azure portal. Now, the second thing, Visual Studio Code. This is a screenshot I took while I was creating a Docker image. Don't be scared. But Visual Studio Code, I mean, it allows you to work with any language, even text files. You can use it for text files. You can use it for your JSON, because you will see that when you do your guided labs, I will share with you later on, but if you do your guided labs, you'll need a place where you can copy the code and paste it somewhere and try to understand the code. I do not advise you to just take the code, paste it into the terminal and execute. There is no learning on that. But I suggest you to take the code, put it somewhere, analyze it, ask questions. Why are we putting the double ampersand? Why are we putting inverted commas? Why are we using square brackets? Why are we using this type of alignment? Because I can assure you that it will catch up with you later. So you'd want to get yourself Visual Studio Code. It is free to download. Or if you are fortunate enough, you can get yourself Visual Studio. Visual Studio also is great. But however, even when you are an Azure administrator, regardless of whether you're an IT pro or you're in dev or you're in data, Visual Studio Code is a tool you must have on your machine, because it will definitely help you to work across all these technologies. As you can see on that screenshot, I have my Azure VMs, I have the Docker, I have Azure Container Registry, I have everything on one. Okay, so it is very much important for you to have these tools. Yes, at a beginner level, it will be a bit boring and a bit complicated, but if you start climbing the ladder into the admin, the architect, we definitely expect you to have this tool. Without this tool, it's like going to a war without a rifle. Okay, so please make sure that you have Visual Studio Code. It will definitely help you. Reach out to us if you need any assistance. I know the initial setup can be cumbersome, but we are here as a community to help one another. Are you scared already? It's a question. Are you scared already because of these tools, these words? But I can assure you that over the years, myself, I've spent over 9 years working on Azure, while it was still called Windows Azure, and there was like only storage and with that old ugly classic portal. And over the years, I've spent more years before even taking the certification exam. I wanted to understand the technology and why is Microsoft taking these steps in introducing these other features on their platform. So you will be definitely scared if you want to attain architect in a month. Yeah, I've seen people doing that, but that's gambling. Yeah, that's gambling. We do not want you to gamble. We want you to be legit and to be proper and to be very much solid into this platform. And the last one, obviously, it's GitHub. I don't know how I must put GitHub, but GitHub is a central repository place where you will keep everything of yours. I mean, everything. You can keep your documentations, you can keep your screenshots, you can keep your code. Remember the code that you take from the Microsoft Learn Guided Labs? Yes, that same code, you can do some modifications on it, and then you can push it to GitHub. What's nice also with GitHub, it encourages people to connect and to share, because now we do not want to reinvent the wheel. We want to reuse code. Myself, I've used code from my fellow colleagues and online community contributors where I just needed to just insert VM name, IP address, username, and password, done. A whole cluster was set up. application DB front end. So GitHub is a place where you should start. And Microsoft, since they took ownership of GitHub, they are pushing quite a lot of documentation onto GitHub. The same Microsoft Learn Guided Labs, it is running on GitHub. So GitHub is free. You can get yourself a GitHub account. They will give you the initial steps when you set up GitHub account. It is not for developers as it was deemed initially, but you can even plan your wedding on GitHub. Okay, it is possible, it is doable. So GitHub, it is a tool where you can put everything in a central place as a source of truth. We do lose our machines, unfortunately. We are living in a country full of thieves, and yeah, so you wouldn't want to lose your entire work with your machine. So places like GitHub, also they do connect very much well with Visual Studio Code. So after you have edited whatever you've been working on, maybe your exam prep, your exam guide, you can just save it up to GitHub. The nice thing is you can invite the likes of me to check your code and to collaborate on it. So it is a very nice tool for sharing, and I highly encourage you, irregardless of what level you stand in the Microsoft stack, whether you are in the developer side or you are in the architect or security or specialty, please, you need to have GitHub and get yourself playing on it. Now, Microsoft is publishing tons of information, and to be honest, what I've done here is injustice because they push a lot on multiple sources, on multiple platforms. And this is one thing I want to pull your attention to. I have people asking me to say, okay, what books or where do you get these books for exam preparation? I know there are online dodgy stores or places who sells these guides and what, but I would highly recommend that you purchase them from the Microsoft Press Store. As you can see, some of the books there you will need to pre-order them, but some of them they are already released, and some of them they have specials. I mean, you can apply a code on checkout, and then you can save like 30% or 50% of your purchase. Now, these are books that follow the exam guidelines. Okay, so you'd want to study according to the exam objectives and have material that speaks back to the exam objectives. Now, there are books, yes, that can address a specific technology in detail, and you'll end up swimming with sharks while you're only a sardine. So you wouldn't want to swim with sharks when you're a sardine. So please try by all means to buy books and also support Microsoft and the authors of their knowledge by purchasing some of these books. And I can assure you, I've been using these books a lot of times, and they are very much clear, straightforward, guided. They are very relevant to what the exam will ask you. Even the tips that you get inside the books, you'll find that those tips are the ones they use to question you in the actual exam. So Microsoft Press Store, it is a place to go when you're looking for physical copy of a book or normally ebook, because physical copy takes time to ship. Yeah, definitely takes time to ship. But if you want to grab yourself an ebook, this is the great place to start. Now, the matter of all, this is not only an exam guide, but it is a lifesaver when you're at work. So Microsoft, they have Microsoft Docs that allows you to browse through each and every technology they have in their hands, from Windows up until gaming, .NET to Azure DevOps, PowerShell to SQL. So this is where you would get everything. This is Microsoft's source of truth. Whenever they release a feature, let's say PowerShell 7, when they release PowerShell 7 out to the world, there is already a guide to it. If they release a new instance or a new feature in Azure SQL database, managed instances, there is already a guide for you already published online. This is a place where you need to constantly visit, because this is where they even tell you changes in their product set. And by changes, they can also ask you in the exam. Remember Passion, the one I started with, they can ask you to test if this person is passionate about our products. If you look at 365, they have changed the SKUs from business essentials to, the business standards, the business premium, which is the enterprise stack. So if you are not keeping up with the changes, definitely you are not a Microsoft team. You are something else. So mother of all, Microsoft Docs, it's a place to go. And this is where you can also get some troubleshooting tips. Also for us, people who've been working with this technology for quite some time, we do run back to Docs when days are dark. So please keep this in your diary, Microsoft Docs. I mean, from my side, what I do is I spare some time and then just go through the docs and just check the changes, just check latest updates on certain platform features or certain product sets that are applicable to me. So you can do so. I mean, we do not expect you to know everything, but just focus on something that is more related to you, that speaks Greek to you, your own Greek, by the way. So that is your Microsoft Docs. And then Microsoft Learn, I do believe half of you, if not every one of you, are on Microsoft Learn. So Microsoft Learn, Microsoft has moved from their old ways of learning through Microsoft Virtual Academy, it was called by them. And right now they have moved into the new Microsoft Learn. Microsoft Learn, it helps you to guide you and prepare you for their new role-based certifications. So you can also define your path. As you can see on the top left, it says, welcome back, Glen Tsime, customize your path. Then I can customize my path to say, this is the starting point I want to start at, and this is the end point. And then your study will be now guided by that path so that you do not jump and hop around and end up being misled or misguided. So Microsoft Learn, it is where they are now putting everything. And I believe also the Microsoft dashboard will be moving to Learn. We just need to check with that. I did get an email on that. But Microsoft Learn also, it's their new central source of truth. I mean, you can still use the likes of edX for open source universities and where they collaborate and stuff. But Microsoft Learn, it is where you'd want to start. If you want to do like your certification, your AZ 204, your AZ 500, there is probably a track here on Microsoft Learn. And actually, it can give you everything, even that is exam related. So Microsoft Learn, please also put it in your diary. It is very much important for you to have it. Now, thanks to Alfredo, he did manage to show you like a screenshot of the GitHub Microsoft Learning Labs. So, I mean, for us who've been taking certification, labs are very much vital to us. You will get to understand how the technology works and why should we even implement it in this fashion. Okay, so you will see, you'll get links to labs, you'll get student files, you'll get handouts, you'll get your dummy Azure account where you can play, but we highly advise that you have your own Azure account that gives you access to all the services, not a subset of services. So Microsoft Learning Labs, it is hosted in GitHub for all the certifications. So before you sit for an exam, we highly encourage you that you sit for the labs, go through each and every part of the lab, okay? They will give you instructions on what to execute. Before you execute, do not just copy, paste, and execute. No, that's not learning, that's copying and pasting, okay? So you are doing what we call CPF method, cram, pass, and forget, okay? So we do not want cram, pass, and forget. So Microsoft Learning Labs will give you that rich step-by-step, in detail lab environment where you can follow. Even also for trainers, if you'd want to schedule or run training inside your organization, these guided labs are a fantastic resource to have. Now, when it comes to tips, the first tip, adopt a learn it all attitude. Okay. For the fact that you are scheduled or you are anticipating to write this examination, it doesn't mean that you have to ignore the rest, because everything is intertwined. So you are doing your admin certification, but I mean, we are talking infrastructure as code. You only know ARM templates, but there is Terraform, Chef, and Puppet out there. Always be curious. What is out there? What are other options that you can use to achieve the same task? Okay, that makes you a better administrator, a better architect, because you are able to position different like ideas around that solution. You say, okay, if you want to go open source but to achieve the same task, please use this this tool. If you want to achieve something else, please use that one. Okay, so that's the first tip. Adopt a learning all attitude. The second one, schedule your exam first. Now, you will find yourself being in this loop of I will schedule, okay, next month, when next time arrives, and then next time. So you'd want to put your foot on the ground and say, I am going to write on the 25th of September. Book it, have a booking ready, then it will give you enough time and pressure for you to prepare. Now, I know half of you are not doing it because of several reasons, but this is an advice I'm giving you. If you want to put your mind to something, schedule your exam, and then you will see that automatically, instinctively, your brain will be in that exam ready mode to push yourself to say, and you'll even feel that that day it's much closer. Okay, you'll feel that that day it's much closer. So it is something that I do myself. If I want to take an examination, like now, I just got a specialty exam for SAP on Azure. I did put a date 3 months back. I did put a date. I was like, I want to attempt this. And yes, I did attain it. So you can also do it only if you schedule first, not last. Okay. Now, the only way to learn is being hands-on. There are certain services that it is so much difficult to explain in words or through video, but you can actually understand by doing. Okay, so Azure has other features or services that you can explain over verbally. Some of them you need an instructor, some of them you need to do yourself. So start doing. Okay, do not be that person who signs up for the YouTube channels and sit around with your coffee watching how to do templates by eyes. Your hands are being folded or they are holding something. These hands, they need to start moving. By the way, you'll even get warmer and avoid having like arthritis or something. So have your hands dirty. The Azure portal is the place to start. You cannot do anything in Azure in the cloud without knowing what's in the cloud. Okay, so the Azure portal I did mention on my previous slides, it is the best place to start. Now, this is another tip I want to share with you. Schedule a block time. Now, block time, I mean, for myself, it's something like from 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and then from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Those hours are dedicated for my learning, okay? Nothing else. So before I wake up, before I start my work, I know that I had 2 hours to go through whatever I need to go through. Then I work. And then after work, when I'm chilled, everything is fine, then I can go back to learn. So have your block time every day. Okay, Azure is like mathematics. Mathematics it's done by practice. You practice every day. So we do not want this thing of Monday you are in the portal, then you skip, and then Thursday you'll be demotivated. You won't even see the reason of learning more. So block time, commit to it. Let people know that this is your time. Okay, let people around you know that this is your time of learning. Try to choose a time that's more convenient to balance family, friends, and your other things, hiking if you do hiking, but make sure that you block your time on your calendar for your learning. Now, let me skip practice tests and go to don't be afraid to fail. Myself, I've failed several times, and by failing, that's how I learned. From my mistakes. So we always learn from our mistakes. You do not want to go into the exam perfect. Hence, we do not use dumps. Myself also, I do not use dumps. It's a scary thing, yes. But with that confidence, after doing all the labs, Microsoft Learn, GitHub, VS Code, practice, everything, you go in there very much prepared, and you can use Measure Up. The nice thing with Measure Up is they give you a look and feel of what to expect in the exam, compared to the dump that is being produced by someone who cheated who violated the NDA, non-disclosure agreement of Microsoft that you signed before booking the exam. So do justice to yourself. Be fair to yourself. You will even feel more rewardful if you do it without the thumbs. Hard as it is, just follow all the guides and the tips that we are giving you today and attempt one exam without a guide, without a thumb. You will thank me later. It is a nice experience, okay? It encourages you to fail and learn from your mistakes. Failure doesn't mean that you do not know anything, but it means that you need to prepare a bit harder on your initial preparations. So those are my tips. And I want to give you a warning. If they catch you exam dumping, now the penalty, they'll revoke your certification credentials. Imagine you've worked hard all these years, and then with that one silly exam, then you get revoked. And the other thing is they will even revoke of anyone who is connected to these whole exam dumps to pass a certification. And to the extreme cases, they will even ban you for life. Imagine Microsoft certification, you rely on it in your workplace or on your customers' projects. They need it to be Microsoft certified in order to handle some part of their systems. And only to find out you were banned for life. Because now they're using this AI underneath the person's VUE test center engine. So smartly, they know the effort that you need to put on a certain exam. Imagine writing an architecture exam in 10 minutes. That's ridiculous. No, that's ridiculous. So they can investigate, and you would need to obviously make sure that you do not participate into such fraudulent activities. If you need to know more of exam policies, check the link below. The deck, I believe, will be shared to you by Nicholas. Just avoid using brain dumps. I'm just going to emphasize it again. Not only that you are cheating, but you are reducing the weight of your credential. If we are saying, Mr. X, you are as your solution architect, deep down in your heart, it will hit you. It will eat you alone, knowingly that you cheated to earn that credential. But if you failed twice and the third time you pass, and we say, Mr. X, you're an Azure solution architect, you'll give you a pat on your back to say, yes, I did make it. So to all participants, to everyone who's taking certification, I think this is not only Microsoft related. It can branch to other vendors to say, do not cheat. Okay? Be prepared. Ask around. You have people like myself, Nicholas, Alfredo, who are dedicating their time to help you make it into this certification process. Now, the final deck of mine, it's the important links. I do believe I will share more also with Nicholas. Then he can distribute on our meetup. And if you have any other questions, please feel free now to ask. My deck is complete. I'm ready to take any questions that you might think of. Thanks, Nicholas.
That was great, thank you. Loved what you were sharing, and I'd love for you to share a little bit of your own certification journey before we take questions. So coming back to where Alfredo was sharing in terms of you pick a direction and you go somewhere, what did you choose and why did you choose what you chose?
Now, great question, Nicholas. So myself, I was more into infrastructure. So when Azure was introduced, the cloud was introduced, I took a step back. I was like, okay, what are we migrating? We are migrating machines. What are those machines running? They're running Windows Server, obviously, and some Linux. And then I went back and did my MCSA Windows Server, I think it was 2012. While people were going to the cloud, I was enhancing myself on the infrastructure side of things, the private cloud side of things. Then I did some good system center certifications, config manager. By the time I moved into Azure, I had a competitive advantage because Azure is built on top of Hyper-V. And I knew Hyper-V from back then, and it was like a freeway for me up until now. Just recently, I got my SAP on Azure specialty. It is a tough exam, I can guarantee you, but it needs a lot of preparation and a lot of dedication and time put to it.
So let's talk about your SAP exam a little bit. So a lot of people hear SAP and they think, oh, hang on, do I need to be SAP Basis certified, or how do I prepare for that specific exam?
Sure, nice. Myself, I'm not yet SAP certified from SAP, but I've used that technology for like over a year. Even on my current role, I do SAP migrations into Azure. So they have their SAP University where they publish free content and courses that can help you understand their products, and then you match it and align it with what Azure is doing. Then when you match them like this, it's SAP on Azure.
Well, that makes sense. Thank you. Sure. Let's open it up to the audience. So as we said earlier, let's have a hand raised, and then we'll acknowledge your hand and we'll ask you to unmute.
Sorry, they're struggling to get off of my mute. Glenn, thank you very much for what you said there. A lot of that I use in my own training at the moment. I do wanted to ask you, do you value peer review as much as the other stuff? I mean, I like to pose questions to my own work colleagues or forums and that kind of thing. In the old school days, you'd have like sort of those study groups together. So I mean, what really works for us in BUI is that we can actually share that. I mean, Adrian can attest to our ability to sit together and go through a problem together, do it together, and then have those different aspects.
So the question is it about the person, VUE, the guys who handle the exam, or?
No, sorry. So the question is just, do you know of forums that you use yourself where you can bounce questions off of people, that kind of stuff? I mean, GitHub is your central repository for data, but could you advise us on other forums where we can get in touch with each other?
Yeah, I think, Nicholas, it's something that we have to take upon ourselves and start having such a forum to at least discuss, because it's quite a bit tough. Even though you can use the Microsoft LAN chats and discussions, they are not as responsive as you would expect. You might pose a question now, and then after 2 weeks, you get your answer while you are sitting for an exam in 3 days. So I think Nicholas will definitely look into something, and let's have that community where we can assist each other, not to give each other brain dumps. Please don't post brain dumps, but at least guide each other.
Chris, we'd be delighted to help. So the Teams tenant that we're using at the moment is actually constructed for exactly that. And if you are part of the Teams tenant, then what we can do is we can just create another channel for learning and certification. And by all means, we're super happy to drive any interactivity. What we have noticed in terms of generally the Teams tenant usage is that we've got a lot of lurkers and very few contributors. And so we find that generally speaking in community, it's a lot like a football match where there's a few people on the field and everyone else will watch. So we'd love to have more interaction, and whatever we can do to lower that friction, we're completely up for.
Cool beans. Thanks, guys.
Adrian, we see your hand.
Yeah, it's me again. One thing I've also learned is that you can make use of podcasts. So obviously, Microsoft have their certain podcast. You can rewatch events that were past events for Ignite. Same with AWS, whatever the cloud vendor is. Watch those videos because they always give you insight on how certain aspects of certain technologies work. What you can also do is you can task yourself to maybe create a project. So maybe you're into websites. You ask yourself, okay, cool. Do I really want to spin up a server? Or how can I create a serverless website? What serverless options are there out there for me? Can I create so that I don't have to maintain the infrastructure? So that's just a side project that you can do. And are you interested in chatbots? Okay, cool. Which services does Microsoft promote that can help you better understand creating chatbots, understanding natural language, language processing, that type of stuff. So just try and do small things. If you're at work, are there tasks that you do repeatedly that can be automated? Okay, cool. How can you use Power Automate or those automation aspects or features from Microsoft to automate certain things? And that's what I've been doing. So I've obviously been playing around with Lighthouse, and I had no idea what templates were. I had an idea what Git was, but I'd never used it. So then you get into playing around with Azure DevOps, you get to play around with Azure boards and not using them to keep track of progress when you're doing stuff. And then you just starts making things a little bit more interesting and fun, and have a different idea of how can you achieve certain tasks by, playing around essentially.
Neil, please do go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just on what the previous person I just said is, from someone that is, well, tries to be involved in the community and stuff, it's also a very good premise to create a talk. So all these bits and pieces that you are learning now, it actually forces you, combine it into a talk. There are quite a number of communities at the moment. They're all online, so it doesn't even have to be local communities, and propose a talk on the topic that you are busy learning, because if you are learning it for the first time, inevitably there are other people that could be learning it for the first time. So I just sort of want to punt it from that side as well. A good example is the last talk I did. A client asked me about AWS, and of course I know a bit about Azure, nothing about AWS, and I actually went and set up a talk on breaking up a monolith and which services in Azure and AWS and how they sort of compare and where they would fit in. And that taught me a lot, and obviously hopefully that helped some people in the community as well. Just FYI.
So Glenn, if there's no more questions, happy to hand it over to you to wrap up.
Yeah, thanks so much, Nicholas, for these great initiatives, and thanks to everyone who has joined this. And obviously, with the time that we set aside to share this with you, we definitely hope that we have added something of value to yourself and to your journey of learning. And please remember these tips. And please do join us on our next Zero Fridays. Nicholas will keep in touch with all of us. And with those who get the exam vouchers, please do remember to schedule your exam. Don't sit on top of the voucher. Schedule first and then learn. Myself, Glen Tsime, on LinkedIn. You are free to reach out to me if you get stuck with anything. But otherwise, we can use the Teams channel that Nicholas has set it up for learning for us to interact. Thank you so much.